Welcome to the All Access Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Joseph Bruen, and we are back again. This week, a very special guest. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonny Idol, one half of the Egomaniacs. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you here. New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, class of 2018. It's a pleasure to have you and take a deep dive into your career.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
So rewinding to the beginning, growing up as a child or as a young adult, when did you first discover pro wrestling? Who were some of your favorites?
Yeah, so I'm old. I'm like wicked old. So I started watching actually when it was still the WWF. So it was all like Superstar Billy Graham, Bob Backlund, and then it was like Mr. Fuji and Adrian Adonis. I love Adrian Adonis, by the way. I love that guy. So it was all those, just Jimmy Snuka, of course, and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Snuka, a lot of people underestimate him. Like he was not the level of Hulk Hogan, but popularity wise, he was right up there.
Oh yeah. And he was, I think a lot of the we'll say the high flyers, I guess. I think a lot of them owe a lot to Snuka's style. I mean, he was doing things nobody was doing at the time, so.
Yeah. So at what point did you say, you know what, this is something I want to do. I want to give it a shot. I want to get into the business. How did that go about for you? To kind of tell us about your training.
Yeah. I kind of fell into it accidentally, to be honest with you. I was a DJ. I was DJing at a bar. And the bartender was Kevin Landry, Kevin Landry, another New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer. He was the bartender, and he started training with Paul Roma, and he was out working in I think it was New England Wrestling or something at the time. Before Yankee Pro was Yankee Pro. I don't remember exactly what it was.
New England Wrestling. Yep.
Is that what it was? All right. He was working out there, and oh, I got to rewind. Actually, I'm sorry. There was a show in Springfield, and he somehow got on it. Oh, you there?
Yep. Looks like you froze for a minute.
Okay. And he was on it. And he just asked me if I wanted to be his manager. I'm like, sure. I don't know anything. I don't know a thing. We worked with Scott Ashworth that night. And then he started getting work out there, and he asked me if I wanted to go and be his manager. And I said, okay, as long as I can. I want to train. I want to train to be able to bump. I want to train to be able to work, because I had done, now that I think about it, I did 2 shows and I didn't know how to do a damn thing, and I'd already seen other people not know how to do anything. Managers like those people ask them, can you do this? No. Can you do that? No. I didn't want to be that guy, because I just knew that I was going to be stuck in a gimmick tag match. Right. and I wouldn't know how to do anything. So I just started training, and I started going out there regularly. And then after a while, I was working under a hood. I'd wrestle under a hood, then I'd manage on the same show for a while, and then I just stopped managing after a bit. And that was in the mid 90s.
Yeah. And once you get into your own and you're feeling comfortable, you're in the business for a little while, tell us about the gimmick. How did you kind of come about with some of the different gimmicks that you've had over the years, but certainly your first gimmick?
It was just the irresistible Jonny Idol. And why? Because I didn't have a name, and I was going to a show that night, and I was DJing at a bar, like I said, and I pulled a Billy Idol CD out of it. And I'm like, oh, Jonny Idol, that works. And we just kind of came up with irresistible. And then later on, you mentioned the Egomaniacs. After I did that for a while, then I was the Egomaniac Jonny Idol from then on out.
Awesome. So Egomaniacs, let's talk about it. Yourself, yeah. Mike Steele. How did you first meet Mike, and how did that come about?
Mike was training at Kevin's, and we just met, and I started bringing him around, bringing him out to Fall River and doing all the shows out there, New Bedford and all that stuff. And then Bob Evans booked us, because he came out to train with us a couple times when we were training in I think it was Chicopee, Massachusetts at the time. Bob came out, and then he booked us on a Power League show with Tommy D, a Power League show. That was the first time we tagged, and then Bob got us booked up in Green Mountain Wrestling up in Vermont, and it just kind of stuck for 5 years. I think we tagged.
And I
Mike
feel
was
like
awesome.
he's not brought up enough. It's probably because he's kind of out of the spotlight. You don't see
Yeah,
him in interviews, and
yeah.
he's not one to kind of put himself out there. But why don't you tell the fans who don't know Mike, what he's like behind the scenes and just as a person?
He's an awesome guy. I love Mike. I'll be honest. A lot of people thought he was rude, but it wasn't. He was just really shy. He was just really shy, and he strong as an ox, very strong, and he would get me every time. I don't know how I would make him get this, how I would allow him to do this to me every single time. He'd go in, throttle, bash him, and then tags me and he goes, "Keep him alive, you son of a bitch." He came up with this idea one time. He wanted the Egomaniacs to be from the grotto. Dude, what are we doing? What do you mean? I don't know. I guess we could have. I think we might have one time been from the grotto. Weird.
Right. Now, best advice ever received, either
Yeah.
prior to the wrestling business or when you first got in.
Um, I think anybody who ever worked with me knows that I really took this to heart. I was told, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was somebody that we all know. You know what I mean? If you're a wrestling fan from a long time ago, or if you were working on the independents around here in the 90s and early 2000s, you know this guy. And he said to me, "You're never going to get any better until you're willing to make yourself look like an ass." And the ass making commenced. I did as much as I could, so that was probably the best piece of advice I had.
Any memories working with Steve Ramsey over the years?
Yeah, I think we were about the same size, and he's such a great guy. I love the guy. At first, I had long hair, like when I first started, and everybody was saying that I looked like Steve Ramsey. Like, I don't know, I guess. And I know we had a lot of fun. We only got to work together a few times, but we had a lot of fun. He's just a fun guy to work with. Yeah.
You mentioned PLW, so Power League Wrestling, 1989 specifically, East Providence, Rhode Island, was our Alex Arion and yourself against Dan Hawk and Aaron Morrison. Tag
Wow.
team action.
Yeah, I
Some
remember
memories
that.
you have of any of those guys?
I think Alex Arion. Alex Arion is unbelievable. He was an unbelievable worker, and his athleticism was. Alex Arion was one of those guys. Like when I first started, I was, I'm not a huge guy, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to try to be athletic, and I'm going to do all these athletic things. And there's people like Alex Arion who could do those things, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do those things. I got to figure something else out. I thought Dan Hawk was great. Man, I love Dan. I wish he was still around, and I wish I could see him more. And Aaron Morrison, I've known Aaron Morrison for almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we started playing music together, and we still play music together occasionally now. And then we started in the business kind of like right about the same time. He started like right before me. He was on those two shows like working that I told you about earlier. He was on
Yep.
those. So yeah, he's one of my oldest, dearest friends.
Another promotion you go on to work for was Green Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah.
Specifically in 1999, you would take on Adam Hastley. What was that like?
Wow. Oh, I remember that. Wow. Yeah. I always got along with Adam, and I don't think I ever had more fun than I did in Green Mountain. It was so fun. We had such a good time up there. The only thing I remember about that match, he was doing like an extreme sports gimmick. Like he had like a skateboard and he'd come out the Mountain Dew, and I remember he came out and he opened his Mountain Dew and he immediately poured it in his eyes. And at some point in time, I clotheslined him out of a shoe. One of his shoes came off. That's
Right.
all. That's all I remember. That's all I
Awesome.
remember about it.
Well, the following year, 2000, you'd go on to wrestle Chris Venom, this time for EWA. Chris Venom has a great reputation in New England. What was it like working with him?
I love him. I will keep in touch with him to this day. I just texted him, I think, last week. We ended up tagging a lot too, and he's so talented and quite honestly one of the nicest, kindest people I met ever in the business ever. He's awesome. I ran into him after a Red Sox game. We're walking over the bridge. I don't even know what road that is. Walking on the look. He's just right next to me. He's right. I'm like, hey. So, I nothing but love for that guy.
And Egomaniacs against Maverick Wild and Alex Arion. That would be for Green Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah.
Any memories of that? Or working with Maverick?
I only got to work with Maverick a few times. we tagged together a couple times and we had some matches together. And I mean, you're working with Maverick is one of those guys. You better be ready, to
Right.
go. You better be ready to go, because if you're not ready, he's going to send you anyway, and you're gonna, he's just great, great.
And whether it be good or bad, you have any specific memories of any fan interactions
Hmm.
over the years throughout your career?
Three, three. Yeah. When I was managing in Fall River, Joe Eugenio like gave me a bump or something, and I sold out of the ring, and I'm leaning on the guardrail, and some guy walked down the aisle and punched me right in the eye, and I turned and saw him, and by the time he got done nudging his friend and saying, "Do you see what I did?" I was standing over him, and I grabbed him, and then the cops came and got me and moved me away. In Southbridge, Massachusetts, I was working with Aaron, and it was like a Wednesday night, some random Wednesday night at some hotel. It was like some type of thing where campgrounds, they were trying to sell their different things to campgrounds, wrestling and all entertainment and all this other
Oh,
stuff at
okay.
campgrounds and stuff. It was like some random Wednesday night. Some dude hit the ring. I mean, he hit and it was, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I Eugenio bought him new glasses, um, I'm not trying to claim to be a tough guy or anything, because I'm not. But I guess Joe's like tent was like right next to this guy's, and or behind him or something like that, and he heard a lot of people going up to him saying stuff like, "Hey, aren't you that guy that jumped in the ring?" And he's like, "Yeah, don't do that, don't ever do that."
Right.
And in Green Mountain one time, a guy jumped up on the apron in Green Mountain one time, and Mike cleaned his clock with a title belt.
Oh, geez. Yes.
It broke the belt, the plate in three
Really?
places. Yeah, in three pieces.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Now, when it comes to venues, you guys are bouncing all over the place for years and years.
Hmm.
Whether it be a tiny venue or a large venue, it really doesn't matter. It all comes down to preference.
Yeah.
What did you have as far as like favorite venues, whether it be because it had a hot crowd or you just look
Yeah.
forward to the venue itself?
Great. Well, when I started, it was the PAL in Fall River,
Yes.
and I haven't been there in a very long time. But back then, it was electric in that place. It was what a you must have gone to shows there, yeah?
Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was awesome. It was so fun to work there in that weird three-sided thing. That was fun. I like the Armory that's in Fall River. That was a fun building to work in.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. And I think I could keep going. I can name two more that I really enjoyed. There's the Littleton Opera House in Littleton, New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah.
That was like another cool little horseshoe-shaped place, but I thought that was kind of cool the first time we were there. I was walking around and I was in like the front hall, and there was a big picture of Gorgeous George wrestling there in the 50s. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
pretty cool.
That's
And
awesome.
I could keep going, but there was another place called the Springfield Turnverein. It was in Feeding Hills, Massachusetts. I loved to work there because it was about 7 minutes from my house.
Nice. Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
No, no.
So Big Rick Fuller, let's talk about the
Yeah,
man that everybody fears, the Big Chop, of
yeah,
course, former WCW talent.
yeah.
What was it like working with Rick? Behind the scenes and in the ring.
I Again, I always got along with Rick. I think, and sure, he chopped the crap out of me, and but I remember we were working one time in Maine, and he's huge. I knew he was going to chop me, and I'm just like, I just said, look, I'm going to chop you. I don't know why I would say that, but I said, I'm just going to chop you. You're going to chop me. He's like, sure, just don't fight out of mine. No problem. And
Wow.
when I had the chance, I just,
Yep.
you know, but I really like Rick. I think he's very, very talented, and I really think he could have done a lot more. It's great.
What would you say was the greatest challenge in your career? Not in ring, but just being in the wrestling industry. What's been the hardest part?
Uh, um, I always have been, and probably always will be my own worst enemy. The challenge was, the biggest challenge to me was, confidence. Confidence. I was far more insecure than I let on. I would try to act like I was so confident and whatever, but I was in my head all the time. I was in my own head. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough. I missed some opportunities probably because of it, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So
probably my biggest challenge.
I jotted down here some of the teams that you've worked with over the years
Yeah,
as the Egomaniacs. So you've
yeah.
been in there with the South Coast Connection, Kid Makazi and Mark Malibu.
Oh
You've
yeah, yeah,
been in there, of course, with the Damned.
yeah.
Everybody knows the
We
Damned.
we we worked with them a ton. We worked with the
Yeah.
Damned a lot. Mark Malibu. Do you know who Mark Malibu is?
No, that was the one name I did not recognize. I'm like,
Yeah,
Mark Malibu, huh?
that's Smart Mark Sterling in AEW.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
jeez, I had no idea. I recognized the name, but I couldn't place it. Wow, that's
It's
funny.
funny. He'll even laugh about it. He was like this chubby, pale guy, but he's from Malibu, you know.
So I might have actually.
And Makazi. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But Makazi again, he's another one of those guys that check your athleticism at the door because he's another level athleticism. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he was so good, and
Yeah,
early on, where you didn't see too much of that style, in this area anyway, and he was kind of like one of the, the forefront people
yeah.
for them.
Oh yeah.
Another tag team, of course, the brothers Springgate. You remember them? Zachary the
Yes,
Springgate
of course.
third.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
um,
I I only worked with them a couple times, I think, right? I don't think
yeah,
we
I
worked with
think
them
it
a
was just a
bunch,
couple.
a couple times, and it wasn't his fault. But I had years ago, I took a ski lift bar to the front of my, but just under my nose, and it's like
Oh,
so for years, if I got hit just right there, my four front teeth would go numb, and
oh man.
the only thing I remember from like a match we had at Good Times with them was it was my fault. I sold to a table and hit my face, and my teeth went numb. That's about
Wow.
all I remember about it.
Neat memories of New England Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you were there for so long. You had so many matches there. You
yeah.
must have some great memories from that promotion.
I really loved it there. I had a lot of fun there. I sometimes I wonder why I left. I don't really know. But I had a really good time there, and then I was just when I got to go back, I just wasn't myself. It was just strange, you know. But I had Sheldon always treated us well, and had a lot of fun there, and um, yeah, yeah, a lot of great. What was that place that we worked? It was in it's like a town hall somewhere, a municipal building somewhere. That was a cool building. Another one had a stage, like a horseshoe shaped thing.
Oh,
But yeah, oh yeah, great. I loved working in ECW. It was a good time. I loved how what I thought was pretty cool was I think we were the first people to really start putting like entire episodes on YouTube.
right.
One of the first people to really do that, and I thought it was kind of cool.
So fast forward a little. Well, actually, let's rewind first.
Yeah.
Let's go to the outfit itself, the costumes you'd use
hmm
over the years. Where would you purchase your tights from, your singlets, that sort of thing? Kind of give us the background on that.
Let's see. I think the first ones I bought were online, and the next one, what was the guy? I can't remember their names, but I started getting the custom stuff from somebody that Bob Evans introduced me to,
Yep.
and then I got some stuff made from. There's a lady in Vegas. There's somebody in Vegas who does like a lot of the shows in Vegas or something. I sent her a picture. In fact, the last singlet I had, she made for me. There was one that was like black and purple
Yeah.
on each side, and it's like intersecting flames, like pinstripe
Yep.
flames. I sent her a picture of my motorcycle gas tank and said, "Do this for me," and do the opposite
Wow.
on the other side. And then Delmy, she made me like the last one I had when I was tagging with Marshall again. She made it for me. So
Nice.
yeah,
What are your memories of Marshall? Marshall McNeil. He's one of the best. I mean, let's hear what you got from him.
I love that man. I love him. Let's let the dog stop spazzing out for a second. I love him. You haven't lived until you've been brought home at 5 o'clock in the morning by, you're already hungover before before you even got to bed. By Marshall McNeil dropping you off. You haven't lived until you've done that. As he did that to me more times, like just these little quests, and he'd be driving 52 miles an hour in the fast lane, making me insane. But when I met him, he was training to be a manager at Kevin's. And
Right.
Kevin called me up and asked me to come down and just kind of just meet him and help him out. And I started taking him around with me right away. He's the best guy. I love him. And who knew I asked, I said, I asked Kevin, I said, is he going to train to work too, just in case? And he said, no, he's not going to. But then he did, and he could work.
He's great at both.
He's
Yes.
great. What a worker. Great. Yeah. So fun.
It's like a Bobby Heenan can do it all, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Another tag team, Joey Knight and Robin Nightwing, the All-Nighters. You guys.
Oh yeah. We work with them a bunch.
Yeah.
We work with them a ton for NECW. Yeah. I just remember that we we got along right away. We must have been really cut from the same cloth, I guess. And so we really had no issues with them, just kind of like putting something together. And then they were so charismatic. Like their entrance was like so charismatic. I remember the first time we worked with them, they go out, we were the champions, I think. So they were going out first. I remember they go out, they hit the ring. I literally looked at Mike and I said, what are we going to do now? Like, we have to somehow keep up with that. You know, they were throwing crap and the place went insane. So they're great guys.
Any memories of Fred Curry and his family, of course, legendary Curry family?
Yeah, I got to work with Fred a bunch of times. And his father's funny. His dad's funny. He doesn't like his kids doing jobs. So, it made it a little difficult at times, but it was fun. It was fun.
How about Sonny Goodspeed, another mainstay in the New England scene?
Again, love him. I would say he's probably my favorite opponent ever. I think we were just able, again, we cut from the same cloth and we just got along really well. And I think he's probably my favorite opponent ever. Yeah. Great. Love him.
Another tag team you guys worked with was EOS, Cinna and Onyx, the Elements of Suicide.
Yeah.
Any memories of them? I feel like they don't get brought up that often.
Yeah, I thought they were really good. And then one of them tried to shoot on Mike.
See, I didn't know that.
And Mike, legit power bombed him. But we got along with him. We had fun working with him. So yeah.
Wow. Top 3 matches or opponents, if you can't remember specific matches, throughout your career, if you had to pick 3.
Wow. Well, Sonny Goodspeed, and we did a couple in Peabody, and I think our second one we had there was probably better than the first one. Boy, I could name a zillion. Like, again, Arion, Maverick, Aaron Morrison, Big Bacon, and Hammer Tunis. As far as younger guys, those guys, both those guys, so fun. And Bacon is one of those. Brad Hollister, you know him, right? You must have met him, right? Yeah, he's one of those guys. Again, you got to step up your game. He's a machine, and be ready, So and Tunis is. I always had a lot of fun working with him too. I think they're two very, very talented guys.
I'm gonna throw a Mount Rushmore at you.
So, I'm so bad at the Mount Rushmore. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's you could take it any way you want. There's different ways of looking at it, personal favorite or who made the biggest impact, whatever it may be, however you want to look at yours. But Mount Rushmore for pro wrestling as a whole, so chiming in your inner fan, okay. Any era. And then on the other side of things, Mount Rushmore for New England wrestling.
All right. This is tough. I've been asked this so many times and I can never. So I feel like you have to put, because he changed the business so much, you have to put Vince on. All right. I feel like you have to. And even, maybe even based entirely on his feud with Austin in the 90s, but right. I think Andre has to be there. I'm not a big Hogan fan, but I believe that he should be there. And so one more, huh? Wow, that's tough. I'll say Flair, I guess. Sure. I don't know. That's tough. It's so hard. Yeah. And as far as New England, wow. I feel like just because of his impact he had, and just all the weird stuff you can look up and see that he did, I think you have to put Lobster Man on there, right?
Costa.
Yeah. Sonny, I love Sonny. Who really helped me when I started, because we were paired with him all the time, Scott Ashworth helped me a ton. The guy is a delight. I love him. Brian Walsh. boom,
Yeah,
I did it. Brian Walsh, that guy
there
was
he is.
awesome.
Yeah,
That guy was amazing. He
Billed
was
from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, one of the best in-ring workers.
unbelievable. Gonna hear a funny story about Brian Walsh.
Yeah.
I never told him this. I was still just a fan, and that we were like sitting in. I was with Kevin and the Power Company, the twins, right? And probably Aaron Morrison was probably there. We're all like in the second row in Springfield, like some house show in Springfield, and Brian's working. And right before the lights went out, he's in the corner right by us. Right before the lights went out, I yelled, "It's Richie Cunningham!" Like that, right? And then the lights dropped. Oh, it might have been a TV taping. Yeah. The lights dropped, and whoever was working with came out. And when the lights came back up, he was still staring right at me.
Oh man.
I never told him. I got a chance to work with him, later on. I never told him. So funny.
Now, being a New Englander, any interactions over the years personally with either the Boston Bad Boy, Tony Rumble, or Walter Killer Kowalski?
Um, Boston Bad Boy, no. I think I tried to get booked in there. I can't remember the details. It's 30 years ago, but
Yeah.
I never. I think I met him briefly, very briefly once, and the other,
Killer Kowalski.
Killer Kowalski. Yeah, he was coming to all the Boston shows for Sheldon. He was coming. I remember one time I was talking to my father on the phone. He called me, and I was on my way to Tom Burke. You
Yeah.
must know Tom Burke. I was on my way to his house the day after Thanksgiving. My father calls me, and I say, "Oh, I'm going to this guy. He's been around the wrestling business forever." And he goes, "Is it Killer Kowalski?" And I said, "Well, no, he died a few years ago, Dad. But I will tell you that more than once, Killer Kowalski stood up to shake your son's hand, and he was like, 'Wow!' He thought that was the coolest thing."
Oh, that's great. That's great, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
How about Damian Houston? Any memories of Damian?
yeah. Wow, I haven't heard that name in a long time. Again, I never got to work with him, but
Hmm.
he was a super nice kid. He was talented and athletic, and
Yeah.
I did get to work with him once, and he got mad at me. He got
I was going
mad
to
at
say
me.
you worked with him one time, right?
In Maine, yeah, I blew snot rockets on him, and he got mad at me. I can't blame him. I can't blame him.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Maine, EWA 2001, you'd work with Tarzan Taylor. Any memories of that?
I worked with him a bunch of times. We worked a
Mm.
ton. Any memories of it? No. My
No.
memory's the worst, dude. I remember that I worked with him a bunch of times. I couldn't tell you anything about the matches. I'm shot.
All the promotions you've worked for, was there a favorite? One that you looked forward to more than the others?
Wow. I being such good friends with Dr. Heresy, I loved working EWA. I always loved working for EWA. Hmm. Who was running shows 7 minutes from my house? That was cool. And then I got to the last couple of years. I basically worked exclusively for, it was Blitzkrieg Pro in Enfield, and then Pioneer Valley Pro
Yep.
in Massachusetts. I basically stopped traveling, and I was just only doing those two shows, and they both took really, really good care of me. They let me do some really, really fun stuff. Like we got to, in Blitzkrieg Pro, we got to, Jimmy Hart managed us. We got to tag, me and Marshall got to tag with Gangrel against Joe Eastman, Smart Mark Sterling, and I think Tomahawk, I think it was. I remember that. And then I got to work with basically who I wanted to in PvP, and a lot of fun. I get to work with some really, really, really talented people who really helped me get through my last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what made you decide that it was time to maybe hang it up and not pursue it any longer?
Um,
Like, at what point did you know that you were ready?
so I listen, I'll say it right now. My last match, I was 49 years old when I had my last match. Tomahawk was literally half my age, and he was my final opponent, and he was getting old. There's a lot of talented kids, and not a lot of people know this, but I have rheumatoid arthritis. I have RA, so everything hurts all the time anyway, So it was just I had a match with Bacon. I landed hard coming off the middle rope, like a superplex or something. I landed hard on my right hip. And it took me an hour and a half to get out of bed the next day. And while I was stuck in bed, I think, who was the text thread? I think it was Tunis. Matthew James and Zachary Pierre Bouillot. And I text them and I said, this time next year, I'm done. Do with that what you will. It was, and
Wow.
I just, yeah.
And how have you felt since leaving the business?
It's weird. You know, I do go manage for PvP now. I do manage a little bit, and it's strange to walk in and not know anybody. I know like 6 people. It used to be I knew everybody and didn't know those 6 guys. Now it's the other way around, you know, and they don't know, and that's fine. I can't. Why would they? You know, I've been gone. I was probably out of the business before the majority of them started. So,
Right. But you do find yourself kind of getting the itch every once in a while, and you're able to kind of do it by managing.
Sure. I listen, for me to go back, I told my girlfriend Bessie, I told her, I said, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna manage, I'm not gonna bump, don't worry. You know, so when I go, do I miss it? A little bit. And then my knee will pop for no reason. I say, oh yeah, I don't miss it that much.
That's right. Yeah.
What do I have to prove? You know, like I had a great send off. You know, people have asked me, you know, you're gonna come back, you're gonna have a match, come back, have one more match. The crowds are chanting, you still got it at me. I literally said on the microphone to them, I don't though, I really don't. I promise I don't. You know, so it's good to be around it though. It's fun.
Yeah. No, you got a lot of supporters out there, and you've had a
I'm
great
very lucky.
career. You know,
I'm very lucky. Yeah.
some wonderful matches, and
Thank you.
you know, New England Championship Wrestling.
Mhm.
You had a great feud with Steve King.
Yeah, really good,
You know,
real
why
fun.
don't you tell us about that? That's what it was like to work with him.
We got put together and something just clicked. He worked a lot like me, you know, like I'll admit I'm snug in safe areas, you know, in safe areas. I'll admit that. But he was the same. And again, we just clicked. We really didn't have to talk too much. We had a match. We had some kind of match where you had to answer the 10 count. You had to try to make the 10 count, you know. This is the entire conversation we had. I said, excuse me. I said, I want to do the Rocky 2 finish. He goes, what's the Rocky 2 finish? I said, well, we're both fighting our way up, and at 9, I drop. So I feel like you give me this off the middle rope, and we'll fight our way up, and we drop. He goes, okay. And we didn't talk again, and we went out and we went 20 minutes. You know, so
Wow,
he was wicked easy. He was so fun, so easy to work with. Yeah, great, and an awesome guy.
Yeah. If you could throw a dream match together, any era, could be the era previous to you, could be during your era, somebody you didn't get to work with, or somebody who's wrestling now or up and coming, who would that dream match be against? Could be independence, could be from television.
Can I say a couple? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The opportunity to work with Ryan Drew one time, and I think he's an awesome worker. He's an awesome trainer, and I'll admit I froze up. I was timid. I can't. You know, if I could go back, I would do that one again. I would have loved to have actually had a match with Brian Walsh. I think that would have been a lot of fun. And anybody else, huh? I don't know. I don't really think about that. Really, you know, I don't really put too much thought into who I wish I worked with. I got to work with so many talented people,
Yeah.
and far more talented than me. And I mean, I couldn't even think. You know, I got to work with some great guys. Got to work with some great people.
And somebody you've teamed up with over the years, and obviously a great friend, Aaron Morrison.
Yeah.
You know, tell us about how that friendship started, and kind of tell us about you know, any of the matches you remember from him.
My first actual match was against Aaron. Was with Aaron somewhere. We got. I was still a manager, and I got thrown in, you know, to do him. Okay, and did a match, and well, I was playing in a band, and we needed a bass player, and the guitar player knew Aaron, and Aaron came in, and we just started playing music together and then hanging out. He's an awesome guy. He's a good friend. You know, he's a guy you can count on. So we just stayed friends. It's so funny. So I play rhythm guitar and sing in the band, and Aaron plays bass. And I say all the time, I'm not even the second best guitar player in my band, and we only have 2. So Aaron is like a really good, talented musician and very, very good friend.
You'd go on 2006 to work for TRP, Top Rope Promotions.
Mm-hmm.
You tackle it up with Brutal Bob Evans. What was it like being in the ring with Bob? What's he like?
Bob is Bob's very good. Bob, I think I've never seen somebody do a better arm heat on somebody than Bob. It is great arm heat. I remember we were again, I'm not going to say who it was, but we were in the locker room and there was somebody who was a quote unquote a name was in the locker room and they were slightly impaired and um, made sure they announced to everybody. It says, "Just remember, if you're in a preliminary match, it's a preliminary match." And he said it like 3 times. So when we were working, Bob picked me up for a body slam and like walked around the whole ring basically and said, "Preliminary slam, preliminary," and slam me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can't pay attention to the negative noise like that.
No,
You got to have fun with it, you know?
I learned this is some advice that I started giving people a long time ago. Is as soon as you stop worrying about what they say about you on the internet and start worrying about what they say about you in the locker room, things get a lot better for you. Anything you read on the internet about you is all subjective opinion, and it really doesn't matter. But people in the locker room, they believe in you and they trust you. It's a whole different game.
Yeah. Who would you say was the most underrated that you've seen throughout your career on the independent scene? Somebody who maybe you thought would have gone on to become bigger things and didn't for
Wow,
some reason.
wow, that's tough. Wow, that's really hard. There were so many wicked talented guys. Again, I don't know why Brian Walsh didn't take off. We mentioned Alex Arion. He was so great. I think he should have been done something. Of course, why, the amazing Steve Bradley. Um, he was probably the best I'd ever been in the ring with, and how he didn't become one of the biggest names in the business, I have no idea. He was awesome. He was awesome. Great brain, and everything he did looked real and looked legit, and he was awesome.
Yeah, not only was he talented in the ring, but he just had that mind for the
Hmm.
business and
Hmm.
one of the true greats, that is for sure. For fans that
Absolutely.
aren't familiar with Steve Bradley, what was he like outside of the ring?
He was quiet and funny and cranky, and super helpful. Like before he was signed, he was going and doing like camps. He'd go off for camps. So WW, they were doing like these training camps in Stanford for weeks at a time. And the first thing he would do when he would come back is come to where we are and show us everything they showed him. He was very, very generous and helpful, very helpful.
Also got a fan question here for
Yeah.
you as
Oh
well.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, took a little fan poll. What are you into outside of the wrestling business? Maybe hobbies or just obviously we know that you're into music. Kind of
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I started playing music in the '80s, believe it or not, and then a few years ago, I started just doing all solo stuff. Bands, when you're old, are hard. you know, you have to worry about 4 adults with families and jobs. So
Right.
I started doing solo stuff, and I am also like I build guitars. Like I
Awesome.
build guitars. I get cigar box guitars. I make those. I made one for Sonny Goodspeed.
Nice.
Make electric guitars. Just something to keep me busy. We
Yeah.
live in the middle of nowhere now, so just anything to keep me busy, I guess.
Not-
I love just anything. I like creating things. I like making things, and guitars are cool. So I make guitars and I cook. I like to cook. I love to cook.
oh, very nice.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. If you're ever in the Berkshires, you come by for dinner. We'll cook for you.
Very nice. Absolutely. So on the flip side of my previous question of
Yeah.
the underrated wrestler, how about on the other side of that? Is there somebody that maybe you just didn't see it, and then all of a sudden they went on to become a big star?
Hmm.
Anybody stand out?
That's strange. I don't It's hard that I can't really think of one.
Yeah.
Um, I can say that, I mean, and this is the first thing that comes to mind. I don't even really, but I know that there was a time in Agawam, and I had a manager it was for EWA, and we're wrestling there, and this person was in a promo with us. There were like 4 of us, and the only person who didn't talk was this person. And during the match, this person handed me a chair through the steel cage and stuff like that. And then we stopped working there, and I didn't see her for a long time. And then and then she became Sasha Banks.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. The one person we didn't let talk is the person who was successful in the business.
Right. And that's just it. You just never know.
You never know. You never know. I think Antonio Thomas, I think he should have. He went. I was really excited for him. I wish he got to do more.
Yeah, he's a great in-ring talent, and another one with a great mind.
Yeah, and an awesome guy, and just a sweet guy. Do anything for him.
Yeah. So if you could pick one moment in your career, your entire career as a whole, what would that one moment be? Your number one personal moment. Doesn't have to be in ring, could be out of the ring, but within the wrestling industry.
This is the reason I won't go back, other than physical and health problems or whatever. But my final match was I had a fun match. We had a great time. I remember during the match, I'm crawling over to him to tell him I was blown up, and he beat me to it and told me he was blown up. So I was very excited, and and it's tough to when you have a room full of people like clapping and thanking you, and this kid, he went to the shows and he jumped in the ring and he hugged me so tight my neck cracked. And I mean, it just he's a kid who he has something, but his doctors really didn't think that he would do much as he grew older. He would just be home and he wouldn't do anything. And then he started going to wrestling shows, and he got some confidence in him, and he's in college now, and he joined the baseball team and the wrestling team, and he's on the radio, and wrestling did that for that kid. Pretty awesome.
Wow. What would you say was the most heartwarming moment? Have you ever witnessed anything within the industry that just really touched you, whether it be behind the scenes or...
Wow. I don't know. I don't really know. That's strange. How can I not think of anything like that? Because I was there for forever. I mean, and I have no clue. I'm sorry.
It's one of those things that'll probably pop in your
probably
mind later on,
Probably, yeah.
BTW, Big Time Wrestling, another promotion you worked for. Any memories from that promotion?
Yeah, the houses were insane. They were, excuse me, the houses were insane. They used to work, I don't know, like 20 minutes from my house. That was pretty great. But the houses were awesome, and they were always, and I mean, Terry doesn't own it anymore, right? Is Terry still the owner, or I don't know?
Honestly, I don't know. I
don't know.
Too sure.
Don't know. I know that one time we worked with, it was, who was my partner? I don't even know. We got to work with Billy King, by the way. Billy King is another one that if he didn't get cut short, he was so freaking good. Billy King was amazing. Great on the mic, great in the ring, just fantastic to work with him. He was in the Wild Boys. Another time I worked with, I think, who was my partner? I don't remember, but it was Fred Curry and Scott Ashworth. And
on the opposing side?
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I think so. But I know that I sell out of the ring, and as I'm coming back in, I'm stepping through, and the ref says something to me. I'm basically deaf in my left ear. Rock and roll has destroyed my hearing. And the referee comes over and goes, I said, huh? And what he was telling me was Ashworth was going to kick the rope, and I took the rope right between my nuts, right in the middle.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ashworth's a great guy, another great guy in the business.
Love him. He taught me so much. I learned so much from him. I mean, it was him, and I would manage him. I'd manage Kevin, and they were always working with the names that were coming in. So I got to sit there and learn so much about psychology and everything from getting to work with those guys.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the music that you've been involved in for so long? Kind of tell us about that side of things and how that's been for you all these years.
I started, like I said, I started playing, and my first gig was like 87 or something like that. And I just kind of knocked around in the local scene for a long time, just kind of, this, go do that. And the bands come, they go. And then I started wrestling for a while. And then when I was in wrestling for a couple of years, I kind of went back into music. Aaron and I have been in a band together called Untitled for eons. and we are probably the most unprofessional band that's ever been. We've tried to record an album 3 times, and each time that we would record it, our drummer would quit,
Uh,
and we're like Spinal Tap with drummers.
right.
They now we're back to the original drummer we had. Aaron for some reason didn't want to play with him, and we should have continued to play with him. And then we finally do a gig with this guy, and a buddy of mine is like, "Why did you bother with anybody else?" I'm like, "Ask Aaron, man. I don't know."
Right. Well, 2026 is a new year, so who knows what'll come out.
Who knows? I'm going to be looking for new venues to play. We just moved. We moved a ways away, and so I'm going to have to look for venues up here to play instead of down that way, down where we were.
You have a favorite venue when it comes to music that you've played before?
Yeah. It's all breweries, man. Breweries are so cool. I have never had a problem with anybody in a brewery ever. I have never not had somebody be an asshole in a bar. Always. It's just the way it is. But I play at my friend's brewery in West Springfield, 2 Weeks Notice Brewery. That's awesome. Skyline in Westfield is great. But I think the coolest thing that I got to do in this band, we played at the Webster Theater in Hartford a ton. And that's it's like an old movie theater that national acts come in. I saw Tesla there, I saw Lit there, and we got to open for some national acts. I'm a huge Cheap Trick fan, enormous Cheap Trick fan. And I saw Cheap Trick there. And I'll never forget the first time I played there, I'm standing where I watched my favorite singer perform. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty good moment. Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk about, we talked about the greatest challenge in the business, but how about most rewarding? What's the most rewarding part of being in the industry?
I think, you know what? These are the things, this is the same thing as you asked me before, like touching moments, right? Touching, and people were like, either they're moving, somebody, younger than me or whatever, and they're moving, or they're going out. We had some guys going off to OVW for a while. They were going to be working out there. And anybody that comes up to me, and it's happened a few times and it's awesome, just comes up to me and just says, "Hey, thanks. You helped me a lot. You helped me out a lot." And I'm like, "Oh, great." That's kind of like what I wanted to do. I never believed in myself. So wrestlers, if you're listening, believe in yourself, take the chance, But anybody that just came up and just said, "Thanks, you helped me out a little bit." And, so that's pretty cool.
You said you do a little bit of managing. Do you still keep an eye on the New England indie scene as a whole, or not so much?
Not so much. A little bit. It's tough, man. It was such a big part of my life for so long. It's kind of hard to really. It's tough. It's tough to.
You can't be teetering. You got to either be in or out, right?
Yeah. Right. I tried to go back right away and just kind of hang out, and I'm like, I got to step away for a little bit, but it's great to be back around. But it's hard. Sometimes I wish. I forget, I forget. I'm like, boy, I should have a match. No, I'm not going to do that.
And if you have any other specific memories, whether it be behind the scenes or in the ring, 2 other teams that you were a part of, NCW for JC Marks, you would team up with Chris Venom as the Heat Seekers.
Yeah.
That was another team you were there.
Yeah. Again, I love Chris Venom. I love him. I remember, when he went in the Hall of Fame, I was there, and everybody bought me shots, so I was ripped, right? And he said a thing in his speech, and he said, "I got to tag with a bunch of people. Like when I tagged with Jonny Idol, I learned how to take a bad thing and turn it into a good thing." And in my head, I'm like, "What the hell does that mean? What do you mean by that, dude?" So I asked him. It was I guess one time we were working. Well, we were working at NCW, and who we were working with or whatever, and he was kind of like, "Oh, I don't," he wasn't really excited about the match. And I go, "Why? That's the challenge. Let's go out and turn this into something awesome. Let's make this, if you get the pop and we can get them over, then that's the challenge, dude. They can't all be, the dream matches, how many times hey, Johnny, this guy's been training for 3 weeks, get 6 minutes out of him." Okay.
Right.
This is part of the job. Like when, I think I might have said to him too, like when you started, there were probably people when I started, there were probably people saying, "Oh shit, I got to work with this kid, and this greenhorn, and it's part of the gig, man. You stick around, that's the gig. You got to learn how to kind of roll with it and take care of and teach them along the way.
Sure. And do you follow the product on TV at all, or have you
Little,
throughout the years? Yeah.
a
Same.
little, a little. I think the last thing I was really following was, well, the Cena thing was big. You're kind of following, see what's going on with that. I love the whole thing with the bloodline. That was cool, but that's not still happening, is it? I don't even know.
No.
I don't even know. It was awesome stuff. I don't even.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So no, I don't really watch too much. I'll watch the pay-per-views, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
Looks like the next big thing will be the AJ Styles retirement tour. So
Yeah, huh? That's
Mhm.
I didn't even know. I found that out today. I just
Yeah.
stumbled on that today. That's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
how old is he? He's been around forever. He's got to be in his
He's gonna
40s, right?
be, yeah, probably late 40s, I would assume,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
mid 40s. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how you get old fast, dude. You get
Yeah.
old fast, let alone being in this business and let alone being in the business the way he was.
Right.
How many matches he had a year for 20 years. Who knows what he's
Yeah.
going through. So good for
It
him.
goes by quick. I mean, I'm going to be 44 this year,
My
and
goodness.
I remember doing backstage interviews. I was 16, and it's just
Wow.
like it's crazy how quick it's like where did the time go?
Where did it go? I all of a sudden, like, I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
So you must have noticed this. I remember my dad told me this when I was a kid. You must have noticed this, and my mom told me this when I was a kid too. That the years go by faster and faster every year. Have you noticed that?
They
It's,
do.
it was,
Yeah. You always hear that, and you're like, yeah, right. That's
yeah,
not going to
whatever, dude.
that goes by so quick, and it's
So quick,
crazy.
so
So you got to
quick.
take all those moments in and just make them mean that much more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right,
That's
right.
what it's all about.
Oh, I want to say this. There's a Oh, I know what I was going to say. There's probably a
Yeah.
lot of people who are listening to this right now who are probably saying Johnny Idol is a dick, and I deserve that. I'll admit that. There were times when I was cranky, but I will say this: at least 83% of the time they deserved it. So the other 17%, sorry, sorry.
Very nice.
Because I was like I would rib for a day. If
Yeah.
somebody's new and they're hanging out, I'll rib them for a day. So much so, like I'm really good friends with Tunis, with Hammer Tunis, right? First time he came out on the road to travel to a show with, I just hammered on him the whole time, hated my guts. And then the next show, I made him ride with us, and he's all regretting it, and he's like, "Oh wow, you're not really a jerk." No, I'm not. I just like picking on people.
Yeah.
I just like there was something about that the locker room and just giving people a hard time that is my favorite thing.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's harmless.
We talked about Marshall McNeil. When
Yeah.
you guys, for the fans that aren't familiar, when you guys would team up, you'd be known as the Masterminds.
Mhm.
Any other memories of Marshall over the years?
Again, the only thing I can think of is him just getting me home, insisting on getting me home at 5 o'clock in the morning. But of course, I didn't want to drive, so I had no choice. So, and just I I remember the first time I saw him, I met him when I went down to meet him. And I'm saying, let's do a quick little spot. We'll have somebody. I want you to just look at your surroundings. We're gonna have somebody baseball slide out. I want you to be startled and take off. This person slides out of the ring, and Marshall goes, and with surprising athleticism, he takes off. Unfortunately, the stairs were right there.
Oh, right down.
I don't know. I just remember again. I felt like I knew him for a long time, and
Yeah.
I just loved kind of just getting to know him and just becoming friends with him. And I loved taking him around. And then all of a sudden, he's people love him, and he's getting so much heat. I could go all day about Marshall. I love that guy.
Yeah. And you mentioned Joey Eastman earlier. Any memories of Joey?
Yeah, I love working with Joey. We worked. He managed me a bunch of times. We always had so much fun. And one time I had a match. It was me and Marshall working with Joey. And do you remember Taka Suzuki?
Yes.
Remember
Wow.
Taka? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like 18, and I love that kid. He was so funny. He was just and so talented. And I remember trying to explain, the rowboat spot.
Oh,
The
yes.
rowboat spot.
Yeah.
They grab our feet and like row, and we go, oh yeah, let's do the rowboat, and he goes, rowboats. and then, and then and then we explain what it is, and he goes, oh, rowboat. So sure enough, during the match, right before they do it, he goes, rowboats. Like, I just laughed and trying to cover my face. I was laughing, and yeah, I love Joe.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Where is he nowadays?
Taka, I think he went back to Japan.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah, he did one show for me in 2011. That was the last time I saw him.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
love him. I will say another thing, that same night, that same match, we're like just talking a little bit, and Marshall and I say, okay, again, Taka's from Japan. We say, okay, well, how about this? We'll Pearl Harbor you guys, right?
Oh, man.
he goes, Pearl Harbor, like that, like explain to him what the deal was, and he's okay. And I'm just
Right.
so all of a sudden I realized, oh my goodness.
Yeah, wrong term. So advice. What advice do you have for somebody who's getting in right now, getting into the business?
I have a bunch. Ears open, mouth shut. Listen. If you're working with somebody that's drastically more experienced than you, just listen. Suggest, sure. Suggest, but just listen. There's a reason why they want you to do the things you're doing. I feel like, now I'm not saying go out and kill yourself every match, but I don't think the size of the crowd should matter how much you care about your match. And people go out and they'll dick around and not take a match seriously because there's only 50 people out there. Well, how about you go and you work a good match, and you give these people these, just because the house is half full, they still paid full price. So I'm not saying jump off the balcony, but still at least care and go out and have a fun match, and entertain them. And the other piece of advice I'll give you, I said it before, take your chances. Take the chances. Believe in yourself. Just go and do it. Again, I'm not going to say who it was, but this is what happened to me. I worked. I never took a chance. I never, tried to go any farther. And then I met somebody who could have helped my career along. I went to their training seminars, and they really liked my work, and they could have gotten me a job. And I was in a job that I did not like at the time. And and he comes up and he says, "What's up? You just never got a shot?" And I said, "Yeah, no." And he goes, "Oh, well, how old are you?" And I think I was like 42 at the time. And he goes, "Oh, that's too bad."
Oh.
Oh, that's too bad. So take your chances.
Yeah.
Take it and just go for it. That's probably the best advice I could give anybody.
And rewinding back to 2018, you're inducted New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Any memories from that night? Just kind of some of the other class members that you were going in with, or whatever it may be.
I remember being really excited to see who I was going in with. I was going in with people that I was friends with for a very long time. There was Alex Arion and Brian Fury, and of course Aaron Morrison. I got to go in with with one of my oldest friends. So that was pretty awesome. Going in with now Paul. I said this that night. Paul was coming and training his guys, and he trained Kevin and the Twins, so he was coming up. And for some reason, I wasn't one of his students. For some reason, he helped me anyway, and he's the one that told me, "Stop being a manager, just go and work. What are you doing?" And so he was enormously influential on me. So to be able to go in with him too, that was really, really cool, and it was a great day. And so funny, I walked up to Jimmy Valiant, and I just shook his hand, and he just gave me the kayfabe handshake real quick. What do you expect? That's fine. I don't think he knew I was a worker. So at the end of the night, he came up to me and he's like, "Oh, brother, blah, 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 blah," just talking about, "I loved what you said." And it was a great day.
Wow, that's
It was a great day. It was an awesome day.
You mentioned the Power Company twins, Dave and Dean. Any memories of them over the years?
Yeah, they were stiff. They were stiff. They were fun. You could have a lot of fun working with them, but if you got to watch the potatoes come. And if anybody watch my matches, go and watch my matches. Now I'm just picking on them because that's what I do, but they're great guys. I got along with them. I owe a lot to them, and I had a lot of fun working with them. But if you watch me, if I'm sitting in the corner, like I'm in the corner and somebody's going to come in and throw a kick to my belly, if you look, my arm is always across my crotch because those guys would come in and they'd go to kick you in the belly, and they had 30-inch thighs, and they couldn't get their and they would just mash your genitals with the bottom of their foot.
Oh, man.
You know?
Wow.
So if you watch, I have my that's how I started doing that, from working with those guys.
Yeah. Well, got to protect yourself. So fast forward many years, looking back at your career as a whole, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
I've thought about this a lot, actually, and if I can just be remembered as somebody who was good in the locker room, that helped out where he was supposed to help out, and teach somebody a little thing along the way here and there, and if I can be considered entertaining. You tell me I was entertaining, I'm happy. It's all I've ever wanted to do, is be an entertainer my whole life. It's all I've wanted to do. So you tell me I was entertaining and I was helpful to a few guys, I'm happy.
Awesome. Well, Jonny, I appreciate you being here and taking the time today, to be on the podcast. It's been overdue. I've been wanting you on it, so this is great. I'm glad you were able to do this.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. And when we get Idol Chat back up, we'll have you on.
Awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. Great to see it.
Right on, dude. Thank you very much.
Cool. For Jonny Idol, I am Joseph Bruen, and this has been the All Access Entertainment Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments. We'd like to hear from you, the fans, what you thought of this episode and what you'd like to see in the future. We will see you all next time.